know each other, so he asked me, if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world and you didn't have to worry about any of that, what would you do with your life? And I said, comedy. And he said, nothing. He did not respond. And I thought, oh, maybe he just wants me to get more in depth with my answer. And so I told him, I'd love to write sketches and perform them, and I would learn how to do stand-up. And if I had all the money in the world, I could make movies. I would make movies. That's what I would do. And he still said nothing. So I asked him, well, if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, what would you do with your life? And he said, I would build schools and reform our education system because it's pretty messed up these days. And I was like, oh yeah, that would be my thing if I had all the money. Money would be education and water for everyone, clean water and health care for the whole world. That was my second thing that I was going to say.
I think my husband only wants to have another kid because he thinks our son is gay. Our son, 7 male, has always been very feminine. Most of his friends are girls, his favorite toys are Barbies, and he had an awkward situation in school where he kept drawing himself as a female singer for the When I Grow Up part of his graduation. He would dress up in girls' clothes if he could, and I'm not judgmental, but that wouldn't be the best for him where we live, so he's not allowed. I'm not sure why he's like this, but I was such a tomboy when I was younger that it's not really a surprise. One of his friends, a boy, came over a little while ago, and my son told me that he kissed him. It was on the forehead apparently, but he didn't describe it in a romantic way, obviously. He just wanted to show that he loved him because you kiss people when you love them a lot. My husband is convinced that our son is gay. He's not upset about it, more neutral, but I think it's harmful to assume a 7-year-old's sexuality because he does things that we've arbitrarily decided are for girls. When he heard about the forehead kiss, he said, "Are you still saying he's not gay?" And I asked why it would be a big deal to begin with, and he said it's not, but he won't give up hopes for grandkids. Recently, my husband has been suggesting we should have another kid. I asked him why the sudden change, and he said he loves being a dad more than he ever thought he would. I believe him about that, but the timing in his comment about grandkids won't leave my mind. I originally wanted to adopt, and he said even if it's selfish, he wanted his only child to be biologically his. I'm putting all of this together, and to me, I'm worried he only wants another child to have biological grandkids. I feel like that is showing that he's going to love our son less than this hypothetical next child. Does it sound like that to you too, or am I reading too much into it?
I have a lot of friends who are school teachers, and their students really seem to think that they were just made in a teacher factory and they came off of a teacher assembly line with no prior life experience, just showed up to school one day and they sit at their desks 24 hours waiting for students to come in and give them purpose. One of my friends teaches out of middle school, and this kid tried to come to her classroom with a can of soda, and she said, "You know the rules, no drinks in my classroom, take it back out." And he said, "Please, Miss Jensen, I just bought this soda and I really don't want to get a tardy mark." And she said, "Well, then I guess you better shotgun it because I'm not letting you bring it into my classroom." And he just went, "Miss Jensen, how do you know what shotgunning means?" And she said, because I'm 28, you're 13, how do you know what shotgunning means? Does your mom know you know what shotgunning means? And he was like, no, it's fine. I'll drink it outside. I'll be in 5 minutes.
So back in 2020, when the pandemic started, my best friend had got laid off from her job. Me, I kind of already worked from home, so as far as working, I never got laid off. Since she was out of work, she was trying to find new ways of making income, and one of them was starting a business. She wanted to start a nail business, which, by the way, this girl could not do nails. And this is no way to bash my friend. She just didn't have the patience to even do her own nails. It took her maybe like 3 months to develop her business, but once she had got it running, she started making a lot of money. And I was happy for her, but I was confused on how she was making money because I've never seen her, do anyone's nails. She said in order for me to understand her business, she's not going to give the ins and outs unless I were to join her. And I was like, cool, I guess we both can make money, which I'll explain in part 2. Part 2 of me stealing $10,000 from my best friend. So I joined her business. Mind you, I didn't know exactly what it was about. I just knew it had something to do with nails, and she made little small posts of nails. When I went to her house and saw her bedroom, she had a lot of press-on nails all over the place. So I was like, oh, she's selling press-on nails. That explains. She told me where she had got everything from, how she markets herself, just explains everything to me. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really great of what you done. I had asked her, how do I get started on? She was like, this business that she has started is a 6-figure business monthly, and that I would need to invest $10,000 into her business. And I was like, whoa, because $10,000 is what I've had saved up. But she had promised that she was making that amount of money, and she showed me her accounts. She literally said, girl, you can have $100K in your bank by next month. So of course I joined on, and I explained how she tricked me in part 3. Part 3 on how I stole $10,000 from my best friend. So after a month within joining, she said I would have to pay for some of the stock, which was okay, the marketing, the websites, and I also had to help her run, the pages for her business. Well, our business now. I remember when I first had joined on, she was saying like the business is going to be slow for just a few weeks. And I trusted her because that was my girl. And every month I just was still investing into her ads, still investing into promotion. On top of the $10,000, I was still investing more and more money. Give or take, literally after 6 months, we weren't getting barely any sales. And she said that she wanted me out of the business because she felt like I wasn't doing much. Mind you, I invested majority of the money. During the process of her wanting to kick me off, I begged her to keep me to stay. Black Friday and Christmas came up, and we started to get a whole bunch of sales, and we made a give or take over $30,000. Knowing that she wanted me to leave, I transferred the money from our business account to my account.
My car is currently old enough to have her own driver's license, and so whenever I accelerate, doesn't matter how slow I'm going or how fast I'm going, I could be leaving a school zone going from 15 to 30, and she's like, like she's so loud. She sounds like a poorly endowed man on a motorcycle. We all know what I'm talking about. That's how loud it is. And it's so embarrassing. And sometimes people think that I'm driving aggressively around them or trying to race them. And so they'll like zip past me and rev their engine. And I just always want to be like, my dude, I'm not trying to race you in this glorified minivan, okay? I'm just trying to get through the intersection while the light's still green.
Am I wrong for walking out of my cousin's wedding? I, 45 female, was recently contacted out of the blue by my cousin, John, 47 male, daughter, Emily, 23, who wanted to meet more of his family after he's been no contact with all of us since his wedding about 25 years ago. He was apparently furious with her when he found out and forbade any further contact unless we all apologized for walking out of his wedding. John had been engaged to Rachel for about 2 years, and she was a very lovely and sweet person. All of the family loved her, and they really tried to make her feel like part of the family. They'd come to holidays and birthdays for all the family, and we threw a party for her on her birthday. We didn't hear from them in a month or two leading up to the wedding, but we figured they were just busy with last-minute planning, and none of us were in the wedding party. On their wedding day, all of us, about 20 cousins, aunts, and uncles, turned up to the venue to see signs for John and Kristen's wedding. We thought we were at the wrong place initially until John came out and confirmed that it was the right wedding hall. John said that he'd called off the engagement with Rachel a month prior after reconnecting with an old flame, and they decided to use the date to get married instead. We were all confused and upset, and while John was trying to calm everyone down, I went and used the venue's phone to call Rachel. She said that 2 weeks before, she had caught John cheating with Kristen and ended things right then. She said that John had refused to cancel what they could for the wedding and get back what money they could. Instead, he used them towards this new wedding with Kristen. Most of the family and I then walked out, saying that we were not going to stay for this bait-and-switch wedding, especially after he had treated Rachel so horribly and him not even telling anyone that he was marrying someone else. He said that it shouldn't matter who he is marrying and that as a family, we had to stay and support him. We didn't, so he hasn't spoken to any of us for 25 years.
This lady moved into her neighborhood, and she's always jogging around the suburb with these cute matching running outfits and her 2 little French bulldogs, and like, she is goals. She is smart. I think she's so smart, and here's why. Because my dog, when I take him jogging, I'll be like running really hard, and he will just be next to me taking a brisk walk, which is embarrassing. But when she's running with her French bulldogs, their chunky little legs are just going like, I spit a little bit, but they're going so fast that whenever I see her out jogging, I am like, that is a fit lady. Like, look at how fast those dogs are running. That must mean she's running fast. Like, that's smart. That's what you should do when you're picking your dog. Pick one that's not better than you in every single way and is going to embarrass you when you're running in public.